Hey guys, good morning. This is Dimitri with Rubashka Streetwear. So today I wanted to talk about customer service. So this video will be like 3 big tips about customer service and how to go about it. And it's coming from a perspective of me learning and like what I've learned from running my brand, kind of like stuff I've seen and noticed and taken notes of. So the first tip I want to talk about is less is more. So this sounds kind of weird, but in a perfect world, you don't want customer service. Your service or product should be good enough that when the customer goes through the whole experience, they don't need to contact you for additional information or for help. You should already have it set up. The systems and the product should be good enough. All that stuff should be set up so that they have a good experience. But we don't live in a perfect world, so what you want to try to do is get as close as possible to having, less communication, less customer service in a sense. So I'll explain that more. The first thing you could do to help with this is to get a facts and questions page on your website, FAQs. What this does is that it gives the customer a reference that they can go to at any time, and it'll be there immediately, so their questions will be answered. So the way you go about this is you kind of want to set it up. When you first start a brand, you want to set it up in like general terms. So you'd put like, shipping speed, you put like what the brand is about, you would type in like, where you're located, just giving them general information of questions they might have. Another good one would be like putting a size guide in, putting like the, what the material of the clothing is made out of. So you're answering their questions and they don't have to come to you to get those basic questions answered. And as you grow and develop your brand, you're going to find out other frequent questions that are being asked in email to you and DM to you, and you could compile those and add it to the list. You don't want to make it like extremely dense and long, like just put every single question you have down, because it's not relevant to most people. And what would happen is like if you had a FAQ page and it was like extremely long without like a good organized system in there, you might have issues where people just can't find it because it's too cluttered. So if you do that, it has to be kind of systematized. And really, another good way to have less communication, like less is more, is you want to include as much detail as you can, like that is relevant to the conversation. So for instance, if a customer is asking about, let's just say that you had to cancel an order and you had to refund them, right? And so they start out with, hey, can I cancel this order? I just can't buy this right now. So what you would do is you wouldn't say, we canceled your order, thank you. In a perfect world, a better way to do that would be to front load all the information that is necessary for that customer to not contact you again. So you want to do one contact from them and then one contact from you. Typically what happens is that customer service people, they don't really pay attention to getting the relevant information up front to them. And what happens is then they contact you again, then you contact them again, and then you're doing this whole trail when the entire conversation could be summed up in just 2 messages. So in this example, what you could say is, hey, we refunded your order. This is how long it takes for a refund to get into your bank account. Additionally, we hope you shop with us again, and thank you for your time. So what you did there is you fixed the problem, you told them how long the problem is going to take to get fixed, and then you gave them a little bit extra information like, hey, shop with us again in the future, here's our website. So then that's another actually important thing. When you are talking to customers, you want to leave your website with them as much as possible because you want them to reference that and keep going back there. So for instance, someone might be like, hey, the shipping cost is a lot of money, and you could say, like for instance, for me, I get that a lot, but we don't surcharge like international shipping prices. So whatever USPS gives us on the rates, that's just flat out what we give to the customer. And I know it's high for international orders, but we would say, hey, we don't surcharge them, but here's a discount code that you can use so you're paying less, right? Because we have like 2 discount codes that we give out that customers can use anytime. So what you're doing is you wouldn't just say, oh, sorry, that's just the price. You want to give them an alternative. So you're like kind of guiding them and helping them to make a better decision, and that better decision is obviously making a purchase. And then what you do is you also leave a link. In my case, all my emails, they have, it's like a template. So it has all my social medias and my website already linked in it. But for instance, when you do a DM in social media like Instagram, make sure you leave your website with a comment if it's relevant. You wouldn't really need to put like your website link just if someone, was like, hey, I really like your brand. I just wanted to say it's cool. I like the t-shirt I got. There's no reason to like over market them and like be like, oh, here's our website link. You just want to leave it where it's relevant. So in the case of, let's back to the example of like the international order with the shipping, you give them an alternative like a discount code, and then you give them your website. So what they do is they would take that solution and then they can easily go to your website and complete a purchase. And that's a way better solution than just saying, oh, sorry, that's just the cost, and just ending it right there. The second big point I want to talk about, and it's, kind of related to the first, is to learn. So you will learn how to do customer service as you go along with your brand. When I started out, I honestly didn't really know much. I mean, I researched, here and there about it, but honestly, you just learn as you go, and it kind of depends on your brand as well, what kind of audience you have. Sometimes, let's say that you are catering to a more, an older audience, and you're selling like men's clothing to people that are in their 30s and 40s. Those kinds of people might be a little bit more patient and might not need as much information about an order. Like for instance, if they buy something, they're gonna be like, oh, I don't need to worry too much about this, and it's not taking a lot of their income. Younger audiences, I feel like from experience, they usually want, like it's kind of funny. I ship within 24 hours, like unless it's like a pre-order or if it's on a Sunday or whatever, or a Saturday. But sometimes the younger audience, they're like immediately like, when does my order ship? And I think it's kind of funny that, I mean, it's not necessarily bad, but like the younger generation, they have an Amazon mindset. So like everything's immediate, and I cater to that. So that's like actually a cornerstone in my brand is like fast shipping. And that's, always going to be a goal of mine is to improve that and make it better. But like 90% of orders, they get sent out within 24 hours. So it's already pretty fast. What was I say? Oh yeah. So you kind of just will learn from your audience, because every brand, the audience might differ. So like I said, if your audience is younger, they might be more catered to that. So that's what you got to learn from that. So basically you're taking cues from your customers, and you want to record the conversations and learn from them. It's also interesting right now in our world. This is 2021, but AI is becoming more and more advanced, and there's AI customer service. So it compiles thousands of messages back and forth to customers, and it's getting better and better, but there's still drawbacks to it. I actually installed for a brief time a AI assistant on my Shopify store, and to be honest, it didn't really work out that good. What happened was it created more complexity than what was needed in the brand. People would ask irrelevant questions, and they would get filtered back to me. Like I would see them, and sometimes the AI couldn't answer them. So I had to like shut that down. In the future, I might bring that back up again. But to be honest, it's easier without it. I don't get that many customer service or customer messages as much as I used to in the past because I have honed my system and made it better, so it's much easier for people. I think the biggest learning thing from COVID was that was a nightmare. A lot of, even today there's still like supply chain issues, like stuff is backed up for months with bigger, huger corporations, stuff like that. It has been an issue a little bit for my brand because there's been certain sizes and certain colors and stuff like that I haven't been able to use. Like for instance, last month a lot of extra large black hoodies, I just couldn't get them. So some people are awaiting for those. So yeah, man, I'm going off a tangent right now. You just gotta learn from that, and you gotta keep progressing from that and taking notes. So honestly, like you want to have a notebook and just write down like let's say that you're doing this for the first time and you have a really long string of messages. Look at that string of messages and see how you can front load information from the beginning so that you can narrow that down. Because ultimately what's going to happen is, let's say that you get bigger in the future, let's say you grow a lot and you blow up or something, you might have a hard time dealing with 20 emails, 40 DMs. If you have a YouTube, you have YouTube comments. If you have other social medias, that's a lot of time that will be taken out of your day if you don't systematize that. And you can have a difficult time, especially if you rapidly grow and you don't have the systems built up for that. And that takes me to my last point, which is you have to put the systems before the goal. And let's say the goal is customer service. So I guess the overarching point or the theme for this last point is customer service shouldn't be an afterthought. You should have it systematized and have it in place and make sure that you put thought and effort into developing it so it kind of sustains itself. Like for instance, I mentioned earlier the facts and questions page. That's kind of a self-sustaining system for customer service. And that for sure, like for me, probably cuts out like 75% of communication. I have a size guide, I have delivery times, I have other relevant questions that customers might have. So those are just like super easy, super basic. It just takes a little bit of upfront work to put those in, but it will save you a lot of time down the road. And that's all that system building really is that you have to invest a little bit of time out of your day towards building the system, and then you refine it as time goes on and as you learn. So the three main points that we talked about is that you want to communicate as less as possible. You want to learn from your customer service process. And then you want to make sure that customer service is not afterthought. So make sure you have those systems in place. I think it's honestly kind of fun to learn from all this stuff. Like I didn't learn any of this online. I actually this is all from experience. I did kind of learn about like front loading information from the internet, which is an interesting concept. So that's something that you guys can apply for your brand. And if you have any other questions or comments about customer service or this video, let me know down in the comments below, and I will catch you guys later. Thanks guys.